Thanks very much. It's a real pleasure to be with you today to talk about the future, just a tiny, tiny subject. An ever-changing reality propelled towards us by time, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, but always coming at us. It can be challenging. So many different ways to look at the future, a zillion different pathways that are changing before us as we go along. Opening, closing, new opportunities, every action that we take, opening doors, that butterfly phenomenon. This TED Talk doesn't seem so long ago that this TED Talk was very far in my future. And now here it is, rapidly passing through my present and into the past. It's an extraordinary phenomenon how the future works. In our control, outside of our control. Now, everybody has their own time horizon, the framework, the window, I guess, in which they're thinking about time. For some of us, that time horizon is very short. It's the weekend. Some people don't think about the future at all. Some people are looking further ahead. It's important, especially with some of the issues that we're talking about today, because sometimes there's important things in the future that are beyond the horizon that we're thinking about. I used to be that guy that didn't think much past the weekend. And then one day, my wife told me that she was pregnant, and boom. Suddenly I'm thinking 100 years into the future, my grandkids, what's the world going to be like? And it had a really profound effect on my worldview. And I think that's something that everybody needs to be thinking about. Everybody has a different view of the future. Our individual futures are so different that it can be quite challenging, I suppose, to try to move into a conversation about a collective future. I have an answer to Monsieur de Gaulle in this regard, and that is, yes, there's 236 kinds of cheese in France, but it is all cheese. And I think that common thread is a really important thing to look at. A lot of things that affect our future are absolutely beyond our control, and we need to bear that in mind as we go along. But together, there are common threads. So there's an organization called the Human Progress Index that has polled over 100,000 people around the world, asking them, what's important to you? What do you really care about? And it's very interesting to see the common threads that run through that. Life satisfaction, health, education, job security, having a place to live. These common threads make it possible for us to have a conversation about a collective common future that we need to have. And that possibility is really important, because that collective future is impacted by big things, pandemics, unprecedented forest fires, extreme weather. We have problems in the world that we can't address as individuals, and our futures are really profoundly affected by these things. And so not only can we have that collective dialogue, but we need to have that collective dialogue. Fortunately, this is something that the UN has also thought of. Back in 2012, they convened a conference on sustainable development that meets the needs of the future without compromising the needs of future generations. That conference was held in Rio plus 20. Their mandate they had was to, when they finished the conference, they came away with every country in the world agreeing that we needed to define the future we want. We needed to agree on a way forward to achieve that future. And so the UN set to work on the largest consultation that they've ever conducted, touring the world, speaking to literally tens of thousands of people, asking them, what is the future you want? And then in one of the most extraordinary achievements of diplomacy that we'll ever see, every country in the world agreed on Agenda 2030 for sustainable development. Central to that agenda is the UN Sustainable Development Goals. This is a set of 17 goals with 169 more specific, more detailed targets that sit beneath them, and 232 indicators that allow us to measure the progress that we're making towards achieving these goals. The goals provide us with a blueprint to achieve the future we want, practical actions that governments, business, and individuals can take to bring about that collective, better future. The goals are very comprehensive, and they seek nothing less than a transformation of the world as we know it now. Goal 1, to eliminate poverty. Goal 2, zero hunger. Goal 3, good health and well-being. A focus on people, on the things that are most important to people's lives, to making them better. The goals envision a world where women and girls enjoy equality in all walks of life. Discrimination is eliminated in all walks of life, not just at an individual level, but also within and between countries in the world. The goals envisage a world where we live in harmony with nature. So we're thinking about fixing the climate, respect for ecosystems wherever they are on land and in the sea. The goals think about how we're going to get there and what are the institutional structures that we need in order to bring that about. Goal 16 is a very powerful call for justice, for peace and strong institutions around the world to enable democracy and freedom and the world we need to live in. The goals are a blueprint. There's a role in there for everyone, businesses, governments, institutions. They can be useful in many ways as a plan, equally important as a way for mobilizing resources, for getting various stakeholders that share an interest in achieving these goals in moving them forward. They identify key areas for action along with the specific actions that are needed to bring about the future we want. The goals are ambitious, perhaps even very ambitious, but they are not unrealistic. This is not a fantasy. The goals call for eminently sensible measures, such as eliminating perverse government subsidies that exacerbate inequality and incentivize harmful behaviors. The goals are genuinely a plan that we can achieve. We have everything we need to achieve these goals, except the collective willingness to achieve these goals. The Sustainable Development Goals provide, as I've been saying, a blueprint for the future we want, but people need to execute the plan. Laying around waiting for fate to bring us the future we want is actually a recipe for the future we deserve. Successful people don't just leave their futures to fate. Though fate can change the course of our lives, we still make plans and we work towards our personal goals, even if sometimes we find time to relax in a pool. When it comes to our collective future, we need to be proactive. It's not just about our individual futures. And this is where the sustainable goals are so important, because they provide that plan, clear roles for government, business, and the wider society. We need to execute that plan. The Good Life Goals help in that regard. Individual action is important. So by all means, go ahead, be the change you want to see in the world. That's absolutely critical. The Good Life Goals will help you shape some of that personal action, that individual action. They provide fantastic guidance for how you, as an individual, can contribute to achieving the goals. But don't go it alone. We need this to be a mass movement. We need you to bring others with you on the journey. It can't be about self-flagellation and suffering. We need to inspire other people to join us on this journey of sustainable development, sustainable life. The most important part of individual action is that collective component, bringing people with you. The Good Life Goals emphasize this all the way through their code. You need to be demanding of your elected officials, the businesses you engage with. We need to make this change happen at scale, and this is going to require changes in government policies at all levels, and those changes aren't going to come if we don't demand them. By all means, seize the day. Carpe diem. But we also need to seize the future. So, carpe futurum. I hope that you will join this huge global movement of individuals, people, and government that are seeking to create the future we want by achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Thanks very much.